The dark side of love. Ethan was always a dreamer. Growing up in a small town where everyone knew each other's stories, he longed for a life beyond the boundaries of the place he called home. With his dark complexion and thoughtful brown eyes, he carried himself with quiet confidence, even though he knew the world wasn't always kind to people who looked like him. With her golden hair, fair complexion, and a smile that could light up any room, Elena was the kind of girl who seemed to glide through life with ease. To Ethan, however, she was more than just beautiful. She was also kind, inquisitive, and so sincere that it was hard to forget her. Ethan met Elena one summer as the days grew longer and more golden. Their paths often crossed in the local park, where Ethan loved to sketch and Elena would walk her dog. A simple greeting turned into conversations, and soon they were sharing their hopes and dreams. Elena talked about her dream of seeing the world, while Ethan talked about his passion for art and his wish to study in a large city. As time passed, Ethan found himself falling for her. Every laugh, every shared story, and every fleeting glance deepened his feelings. He believed their bond was special, something that could rise above the barriers society had placed around them. One evening, as the sun was sinking and the sky was turning pink and orange, they were sitting by a small lake in the park, the soft ripples of the water making a peaceful melody, and Ethan decided to come clean. "Elena," Ethan began, his voice steady though his heart raced. "I don't know when it happened, but I've fallen in love with you. You're everything I've ever dreamed of. Why don't we become something more?" Elena stopped, her dazzling smile turning into a worried look. She looked away, nervously twisting the edge of her dress. "You are a great person and I care about you, Ethan," she said quietly. "But I can't." "Why not?" Ethan said, his voice shaking. "We can understand each other. We laugh together. We share everything. Does not that suffice?" Elena hesitantly answered, "It is not that simple. The people in this town would never accept us. My family, they would never approve. And I don't think I can be with someone who is so different from me." Ethan felt her words stab him in the heart. He had always feared that his dark complexion would be a barrier to love, but hearing it from Elena was a pain he hadn't imagined. He broke his voice as he said, "I thought you were different." With tears in her eyes, Elena stood up and left, whispering, "I am sorry." After she left, Ethan spent a considerable amount of time sitting by the lake, deep in contemplation, the pain pressing down on his chest. He came to see that prejudices that persisted in people's hearts could sometimes be overcome by love, no matter how pure. Still, he vowed to hold on to hope, knowing that he deserved a love as boundless as his dreams. Elena's realization days turned into weeks, and the memory of Ethan's painful expression haunted Elena. She tried to convince herself that her decision was the right one, but a deep restlessness grew within her. The more she thought about Ethan, the way he laughed, the way he dreamed, the way he looked at her like she was the most extraordinary person in the world, the more she realized the weight of what she had lost. One evening, while sitting alone in her room, Elena overheard her parents discussing Ethan in hushed tones. Their dismissive remarks about his background and appearance filled her with guilt and shame. She knew she had allowed their biases to cloud her judgment and hurt someone who had only ever shown her kindness and love. Elena realized that she had not only betrayed Ethan, but also herself. She had let fear dictate her choices, and in doing so, she had pushed away the very person who had believed in her dreams. The reunion. With a newfound determination, Elena decided to make things right. One evening, as the sun set in hues of orange and gold, she found Ethan in the park, sitting by the lake where he often sketched. "Ethan," she called softly. He turned, his expression guarded but curious. "Elena," he said, his voice distant. She took a deep breath, her hands trembling. "I came to apologize," she said. "I was wrong. I hurt you and I hurt myself. I let fear and the opinions of others dictate my actions. But the truth is, I miss you. I miss us." Ethan studied her for a moment, his heart torn between hope and caution. "What changed, Elena?" She kneeled beside him, her voice steady. I realized that love is stronger than prejudice, stronger than fear. You believed in me, in us, even when I didn't. And now I want to believe too. Tears welled in Ethan's eyes as he looked at her, the weight of his pain lifting slightly. Elena, he said quietly, love isn't easy, but it's worth fighting for. Are you ready to fight with me this time? Elena stopped, her dazzling smile turning into a worried look. She looked away, nervously twisting the edge of her dress. You are a great person, and I care about you, Ethan, she said quietly. But I can't. Why not? Ethan said, his voice shaking. We can understand each other. We laugh together. We share everything. Does not that suffice? Elena hesitantly answered, It is not that simple. The people in this town would never accept us. My family, they would never approve. And I don't think I can be with someone who is so different from me. Ethan felt her words stab him in the heart. He had always feared that his dark complexion would be a barrier to love, but hearing it from Elena was a pain he hadn't imagined.